Hi everybody, Cheryl and Lady coming to you from the Ladies Garden and Home, and our seedlings aren't babies anymore. They're mini plants, so it's time for a little tough love if we want to get them healthy and strong enough to get out into the garden soon. So I hope you join us. So I already started planting some things out. This is the spinach I planted yesterday. And I planted some lettuce and spinach seedlings in here. Some of them underwent a little bit of transplant shock. Not too bad though, I'm sure they'll bounce back. But if they don't, I'm holding on to some of the extras that I had, and I'm going to pot these up, and I'm just going to have them waiting in the wings in case I do lose a couple of plants. So for a couple of weeks now, we've been taking care of our seedlings. We've been carefully watching them germinate, potting them up when they have to go into a bigger pot. We've been bottom watering them with very light fertilizer to make sure that they get enough nutrition. But a really important step that a lot of people skip over is hardening them off. And hardening them off is a tremendously important step, because you could have gone through all of that trouble for all of those weeks, and then they go out into the garden, they get sun scalded, the wind is too much for them, the wind breaks their neck, and you can have a disaster. So this is how I harden off. And the rule of thumb is you give them a little bit of an airing for at least 7 days, starting with an hour a day. This gets them acclimated to the sun and to the wind without leaving them out here long enough to, well, basically fry. And then each day over the course of that week, you increase it to 2 hours the next day, 3 hours the next day, 4 hours, etc., until you're up to pretty much all day, and then you can leave them out overnight. At this phase, they may be okay overnight if there's a slight frost, but if there's going to be a deep freeze, bring them back inside. But the idea is, before you get them in the ground, let them be acclimated to outside weather. I'm not going to lie, it can be a lot of work. You know, you set a timer through your phone to make sure that you bring them in on time. But it's important. See, I work from home, so I can do this throughout the day. But if you don't, you work outside of the home, you're wondering, well, how am I going to do this over the course of a week? Well, honestly, this greenhouse might be a really good solution for you. Basically, to harden off in the greenhouse, you're still going to want to get them acclimated to being outside, but it's a lot easier because you're not doing it for 7 days. Now at night, what I do is I close it up, and as long as it's not going to get into the 20s at night, it stays even in the 30s, even if there's a frost of, say, 30 degrees, that's Fahrenheit. It stays nice and cozy at night. And then in the morning, I just come out and roll it back up. So this gives it the opportunity to let the air in and the plants to have that wind resistance and they're still protected from harsher elements. This is my second year with it. If you've seen my past videos over the summer, I took it apart halfway and I used them for potting benches here, and I took the cover off to kind of save it, because otherwise this deteriorates throughout the winter, and you wouldn't want that. It can also blow over in a good gusty wind, so that's why I have it secured with these bungee cords onto the deck itself, so that I don't have to worry about a strong wind coming and knocking it over, which did happen once last spring. And I was lucky I had planted so much stuff already out into the garden that I didn't lose too many seedlings. So this is the 5-tier, and they have wider ones. They also have a shorter one with only 4 tiers, but I got this one for under $60 at Home Depot. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I will put the link below. Anyway, it's a great option for those of us who are gardening in smaller spaces and don't really have the ability to install a permanent structure. Whether you're using a greenhouse to harden off your plants or you're just setting them outside on the ground like this, it's important to start off either on a shady day or put them in the shade the first day, and then again gradually acclimate them to the sun. The other thing is more of a tip, is that when I do start moving them outside, I use different bottom trays. I don't use, I guess I call them the good ones, that I use to bottom water the seedlings inside the house, because I'm going to start overhead watering these when I see them drying out. They start to dry out quite a bit once they're outside in the sun and the wind, so they need more frequent watering. They still need fertilizer, but you could do that over the top too. So I have different trays. These are the older ones that over the years have gotten holes in the bottom. So when I do overwater them, then I don't have to worry about them sitting in water too long and then getting water logged and rotting. So that's just a little bit of a tip. The good ones I have inside for bottom watering. Also, as you can see, due to the extremely bright sun here, this is a very sunny spot. It's great for sun-loving plants, but when you're getting into plants that like, oh, say, these sweet peas that only like morning sun and afternoon shade, this is not a great place to harden them off. I'll show you where I do that. This is the bed right here that I'm going to be planting them. I'm going to be planting them along the back here so that they can climb up these little trellises. So instead of hardening them off up there in the greenhouse where it gets really heavy afternoon sun, I'm going to be just hardening them off right here where they can get used to their new spot and be ready to plant in as soon as I clear out this bed and put down some more compost. So the plants that I have in the mini greenhouse right now are all my cool weather crops. My warm lovers are still inside the house, and I'm having a couple of issues with some, which I'll explain. But for now, it's still too cool at night, even with the greenhouse, to be putting them out. In the next couple of days, we're supposed to have frosts. And although the greenhouse would probably protect them from dying, in my opinion, it's not going to help them with their growth. Here's a problem that I've been troubleshooting for the last week or so. And they must have come in from plants that I brought in over the winter. And that's aphids. And aphids can really devastate a plant. Let's see if I can get that into focus. This one was chewed off. And what they look like are tiny little green bugs. And you can mitigate the problem by rubbing them off. But there are a lot of leaves here, and a lot of them are very delicate. So what I've been doing to hopefully eradicate them is I've been using the soapy water. It's just about a teaspoon or so of dishwashing liquid. It would be best if I had some kind of natural clear soap, but I don't, so I just use Dawn. And I give them a good squirt underneath the leaves too. And around the base as well, where they might drop off. They start to die pretty quickly. And then once it's dried, I inspect to see if there are still any more underneath the leaves. So then I just take plain water and give them a good spritz just to get the soap off of them. Another issue that I'm trying to troubleshoot has been a lack of germination on a couple of my seeds. And these were peas that I sowed a good couple of weeks ago, and they never came up. Like none of them. So that tells me that there's probably something really wrong with the seed. And if you watched my year in the life of a pepper video I made a couple of weeks ago, which was also my single seed challenge 2023 video, you know that this was supposed to be Archie, the artichoke, and he never germinated. In fact, I tried this 3 times and nothing. So going back to the seed packet, this one was packed for 2022. So this was a rather new seed. There should be nothing wrong with it. And this is the Sugar Snap peas that I sowed, Super Sugar Snap. And this was packed for 2020. So these might be too old. And I had forgotten actually that I had saved some seeds from my Sugar Snap peas last year. So what I've done is I've decided to give them a germination test 2 days ago, just to see if there's any kind of germination. What I did first was wet the paper towel, and then I put the seeds in, sprayed it real good, then put it in the plastic bag. Let's see what we got. Well, at first glance, it doesn't look like they've done anything in the last 2 days. Maybe it's a little too early for me to be able to tell. However, on closer examination, you can see this one here has sprouted. This one is sprouting. This one. So we do have some sprouting peas. So I'm just going to close up the paper towel, put it back in the plastic bag, and wait a couple of days. And this time when I go to plant out, I'm going to put them directly into these grow bags. These are smaller grow bags. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have a little corner space right by a cattle panel. And I'm going to grow them up there instead of inside the bed that I usually do. The seed packet for this basil literally said so heavily something about low germination rate. Well, I did, and now I have probably more basil than any basil loving person like me could ever need. These are the purple opal, this is cinnamon basil, and these are the Italian flat leaf. So these need to be potted up as well before they start running into trouble like the tomatoes, where they're competing for each other for space. These tomato plants definitely need potting up. They're looking leggy, and the reason really isn't so much that they're stretching towards the light, it's more that they're competing with each other. I did an entire video last year on up-potting tomatoes. I'm going to link that below in the description, so you can go take a look at that if you'd like. That is so much better. I had to get out of the sun. It was really hurting my eyes. Anyway, Lady and I have a lot of cleanup still to do. We did get started, which is great, and I had some more compost and mulch delivered, so I'll be getting those beds all ready. As you can tell, the brassicas are ready to go in the ground, and they probably could have gone into the ground earlier if I was on top of things a little bit better, but I hope your seedlings are coming along well. Remember what I say in my other videos, and that is when something fails, you either have a choice. You can either try again or you can change your plan. And remember, you can always get starts at the garden center or the nursery. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. I hope you subscribe and hit the alert bell for when I come out with new videos. And from the Ladies Garden and Home, enjoy your gardening journey. Bye! Say goodbye, Lady. Where are you? Lady, don't eat that. Hey. Don't.